What is going on, everyone? Welcome to episode 116 of Littleroot Lessons. As always, I'm your host, Carter Noble, joined by our fantastic co-host, Carl Wilkin. What's up, dude?
Not a whole lot. We had originally planned for a New Jersey interview episode, but it is getting late, and we needed to record something now.
And I was, I'm typically in bed like an hour and a half ago, so...
Yep.
It'll be fine. What's the worst that'll happen? But we kind of talked about it last week when we had Austin on. With him, going through his event and everything, we figured, hey, that'll be a perfect opportunity for next week to just cover Indy and Bilbao was last weekend, right?
Yes.
So it's like, all right, cool. Or 2 weekends ago, whenever it was, we can talk about that, and that'll be great. And because we delayed and recording this Sunday night now, we already have results from Secaucus and Lille and Perth. So like,
we got so many.
We're going to be talking some top eights today, and I am so excited, man. We have a bunch of data to just parse through here. I am very excited for this.
Yep. I touched on the top eights from Indy and Bilbao in a deep dive like 2 weeks ago. But I didn't really talk about like the top 8 teams. I kind of just looked at the data as a whole. So I'm super excited to talk about some of these teams because there is some cool stuff happening across all of these events.
For sure. I agree. I also want to go ahead and just give a quick reminder up top here. I am sorry in advance if we mispronounce someone's names. We are dumb Americans and therefore don't know how to pronounce foreign names.
Yep.
I am sorry in advance. So, do you want to just start here in the States and talk about Indy?
Yes. Let's talk about the event I was at.
Yes. This is the event that I got to listen to the entirety of it. I have not actually went back and watched content related to it yet. My plan, because I wasn't originally planning on doing the Secaucus interview this week. My original thought was, hey, we're going to do this Thursday. And then they're like, oh, we can do it tonight. And then they're like, oh, wait, change of plans. We can't. So I haven't listened or watched anything related to Secaucus yet. So my plan this week on my days off is to watch the entirety of Indy and the entirety of Secaucus. So
that's a lot of Pokemon, bud.
Yeah, it's going to be great. I'm so excited.
I, on the other hand, got to watch at least a good chunk of Secaucus. I missed all of Indy because I was there. Like, I'm not going to watch the event as I'm playing. It's not something we can do. But I at least had most of Secaucus on in the background. Looking to see if we could see anybody we knew or see any cool teams, which there's a ton of cool teams.
Oh, for sure.
That's probably going to be the last one we talk about, honestly, because there's cool teams across all these events from this weekend.
And dude, the Secaucus top 8 is just like banger after banger after banger when it comes to players. Just like every single person is just like, oh yeah, just casually Wolf Glick top cutting, and like Alex Underhill both competing for their 7th regional title. Just like, yeah, man, why not? Like, why isn't this just like considered one of the best top 8s of all time?
Exactly. All right, so let's get to Indianapolis top 16 here.
Let's rapid fire. Yeah, let's talk.
So, you can see here, all of the bright Rays teams are the ones that moved on into top 8. All the ones that are kind of darked out a little bit harder to see, we'll kind of touch on real quick here. There is, what is this one? Calyrex, Reshiram, P2, Rapid Strike, Urshifu. I can't read the name.
This is Adrian Hurley, it looks like.
Yeah.
There was Amoonguss and Grimmsnarl rounding out the team. Pretty standard, compared to like what Leonard Kraft and Jeremy Rodriguez and just like these Reshiram Calyrex teams that kind of popped up because of the EUIC, just like an iteration of that. I don't think I've seen a version that had Urshifu in that slot, and I mean it also makes sense. Just like fast attacker that doesn't care about Intimidate. Like I like it. As we'll talk about a little bit later, I really like Jeremy's version that has Eliki more, but I think that like Urshifu makes sense for this team.
See, I'm kind of in the opposite boat. I think Urshfu's a little wonky when you're playing like Trick Room stuff. Like you said, you like that Aleki. I think Aleki is good on these Trick Room teams specifically, just so you can have the, oh, I can't do the Trick Room thing. I can just go fast now, and I can just E-web you down or use Max Airstream or whatever you're doing with your Regieleki, whether it's physical or special. And it also gives you better coverage into like opposing Kyogre, opposing Tapu Fini. That can be a problem. Other water types, things like that. Otherwise, the rest of this team feels pretty standard. The Urshifu's just like the one outlier, I think.
Yeah, for sure.
William Marks, is that the next name?
Are we going by placement order, or are we just going down the left side?
I'm just going down the left side and then going down the right side.
So then we have here in your 8th seed, we have William Marks with Zacian, Yveltal, Ensign, Rillaboom, Grimmsnarl, and Eleki.
Super duper standard.
Yeah, I was gonna say super predictable. I feel like with what this team is doing, nothing exciting.
Yeah, you're not reinventing the mold here. Most of the time, these teams have moved on to Landorus, but even that's kind of outdated now. Most Yveltal teams are just outdated, in my opinion.
I mean, I think it's like fine. The newest iteration of like these Yveltal plus Eleki with like physical Yveltal and Screeching, every time I've played against it, I've gotten got, and I'm just like, oh, cool. And like immediately I just go, oh yeah, this is a team that exists, and then I immediately die.
Yep.
It's like,
Yeah, physical Yveltal, fun fact, is the same as special Yveltal. You just get better coverage.
Yeah.
Next up, Cedric. I think that's
this is 4th seed. We have Cedric DeRoche with Zacian, Cali Shadow, Ensign, Whimsicott, Indeedee, and Thundurus. Again, honestly, I kind of like this. It's pretty like stereotypical of like hyper offensive team.
Push the button, go fast, do the thing.
Yep, it does the thing very well.
That's kind of what I'm getting the idea of.
I wonder if either Whimsicott and or Calyrex have access to Trick Room on this team. Just as like anti-Trick Room mode. Because like you're debatably the fastest team in the format at this point, so like you're not worried about people going faster than you, but you are very much worried about Trick Room going up underneath you. Mm-hmm. So it makes me curious as to whether this is like potentially anti-Trick Room somewhere on this team. Because like obviously you can like have access to like Taunt on Whimsicott and potentially Thundurus as well, right?
Yes.
And Thundurus, obviously, if this is Defiant, I mean, you can still run Taunt, and then you're not getting got by, like, Prankster Dark types or anything like that. Mm-hmm. You can also... No, you cannot Taunt in Psychic terrain because they are still grounded. That's not how that works.
Yeah, that's not how that works. They have to be airborne.
Terrains are weird, man.
We had this cool discussion, like in private, like on the Discord, about all these terrain things. Turns out everything cares if you're grounded in some fashion.
If you're touching the ground, you're probably affected by terrain.
Yep.
So then, running at the left side, losers, we have Nora Bowman and your 5th seed with Zacian, Cali Shadow, Ensign, Blastoise, Rillaboom, and Eleki. Basically, kind of the same idea. Go fast, click buttons, blow them up. But having this like potential support-oriented Blastoise that can also just be a Dynamax target is really interesting. I'm a big fan of Blastoise, man. I think it does really cool things.
So I heard this on the commentating for Secaucus here this weekend, and they compared this team to like the Venusaur Charizard teams, kind of doing the same thing with Cali Shadow, kind of like so the idea is like G-Max Cannonade puts everything in Astral Barrage range essentially, and Calyrex Shadow comes in and cleans up. Blastoise does this the best in my opinion because it's just so bulky compared to everybody else. Like
Your opponent is very much disincentivized of bringing their water types because you have Rillaboom and Eliki on this team.
Yeah. These teams used to carry Thundurus. She did a team report with Addy on his YouTube channel, CK49. I don't know if you follow them or not. But she talks about it a lot more detail than what we're going to go into today. And there's a lot of just little things on this team that overall just make this a very solid team. And I'm looking forward to seeing more adaptations of this in the future.
For sure. So then that moves us over to losers on the right-hand side here. We have in your second seed, this is Kevin Swastik with Zacian, Cali Shadow, Whimsicott, Galarian Darmanitan, Dark Urshifu, and Thundurus. I feel like we said this once and we'll say it again. This is just like click the button, do the thing, blow them up.
If you wanted to see what a hyper offensive team in Series 12 looks like, this is probably the best example you're going to get.
I love the idea of Darmanitan and Urshifu. And naturally, because now you have a bunch of things that are weak to Intimidate, why not just slap Thundy on there too?
Exactly. Like you've got 3 things weak to Intimidate. You have a Whimsicott, which Incineroar likes to fake out all the time. So Thundurus just being on the squad means that Incineroar can really never safely be in the lead. And Thundurus plus Calyrex Shadow is just a great pairing in general because, like, Thundurus gets max airstreams, Incineroar is a good target into opposing Cali Shadow. So if Thundurus is on the field, Incineroar can't ever safely come in, and it just snowballs from there.
I love the fact that we've talked about Urshifu twice already, and like this is the most we've talked about Urshifu in several months.
Fun fact, we're not done yet.
I know, that's the best part.
There is another Urshifu coming up, but not the single strike form. This is a rapid strike.
Yeah, 7th seed here in the hands of Nathan Ortiz. We have Cali Shadow, Kyurem White, Talonflame, Water Urshifu, Ditto, and Indeedee Female.
Yeah.
This team is wild, man.
Again, there's another team report on this team if you want to get real in depth on this one.
I did not know that. I need to go look this up. I'm so excited.
It's on CK49, which he does great interviews with people. They're always so much fun to just like kind of sit there and watch. And this is where I get a lot of my in-depth data from, is I'll go and I'll watch these things as they come up. And I'll hear thoughts about how they thought the format is going and things like that. Just so I kind of get like ground troops, because I'm not ever going to be there to do all these interviews and whatnot. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of nice having someone else do the work for me. But this team is definitely wild.
Yeah, it is. There are so many Pokemon here that are just like, I couldn't tell you the last time I played against you. And you have like 4 of them on your team. It's like, you're making me go real deep into the memory bank here of what does Water Urshifu do?
Yeah. What does Waterfu do?
The correct answer, it slaps wet noodles.
Yes.
It'll always be slaps wet noodles, which I'm pretty sure I'm stealing from Austin Acosta.
You are.
I couldn't remember if it was him or Tiki that said that, and it's just stuck with me ever since.
The next one is Joe UX9's team. Yveltal, Groudon, Venusaur, Regieleki, Gastrodon, and Incineroar. Super standard Yveldon stuff for the most part. Mm-hmm. I believe he brought something similar to Secaucus this weekend. I can't quite remember. It's something similar.
I know Angelo was showing me his notes earlier, and he said he got completely bodied because he didn't even like have notes. Like his notes were just so slim because it was just utter slap. It was gross, he said.
Yeah, it's the exact same 6.
Okay, cool. Good to know.
But he's been playing Yveldon forever, so I think he's just playing it more out of comfort rather than it just being good. Mm-hmm. Like, when you already have your Worlds invite and whatnot, the best thing you can do is find a team, grind with it, and get practice with it. That's, like, the best thing you can do and the best prep you can make for Worlds, and that's what Joe is doing.
There was a tweet I saw today, and I wish I could credit whoever posted this, But it said something along the lines of these players who have done extremely well in this format over the last several events have just picked a team and learned the ins and outs of it from the beginning of the format.
Yeah.
Not as a way to like disincentivize people from exploring, but more as a way of saying, hey, play what you're comfortable with.
Yeah. That's always just like the best thing you can do is play what you know. Don't try and pick up a team like last minute. You're not going to be doing that well with it if you are. Sometimes it does work out that way and you just get lucky. But a lot of the times being just comfortable with what you're playing is going to be a better plan than just jumping ship or trying to reinvent the wheel before a big event like this.
I have been on both sides of that in my Magic career. It's just like, well, I've never played this deck before, and I'm going to play it today in a PTQ, and I'm going to go top 8.
Yeah, we've watched it happen.
And on the the flip side of that is, hey, I played this deck. I have thousands of reps with this. I'll be fine. And just, go and crush it too. So do what you want. Play what you like. Don't. It doesn't matter.
I'm probably going to talk about this more on the deep dive this week, but we've reached the point of the format where it's play what you know and your matchups are fine. You don't ever have to worry about oh, how do I beat this specific team because it's going to be popular. That's out the window. That point is gone. We hit that point with Rinya Sun, and now the format is just all over the place.
Yep, just play what you like. It'll be okay.
Last of the top 16. This is
Colin higher?
This is Battle Room. I don't know if you know who Battle Room is.
I actually don't. I've heard the name.
They are a very avid VGC Twitch streamer.
Okay.
He's got the Totodile plush and everything.
Yes, I do know who you're talking about. Yes.
There you go. He was playing Rinya Sun on stream for weeks before this event. And then I think he just decided to play this team after he was just losing matches in Rinya Sun as the format was developing. Fun fact, he starts his stream about the same time I get off work and get home. So when I'm home, I always just have him on. And so I got to watch a lot of his matches and a lot of his practice when he was playing. And this team's really cool. Double Intimidate with Kyogre is not super duper common. Usually you don't like playing two things that just get blown up by opposing water types because you brought your own Kyogre. But instead...
I definitely see why this team lost to the Cali Ice team, though.
Yeah. You have 3 Pokemon weak to ice. You're guaranteed to bring one of them for sure because you have to bring 4. And so if you can't line up against the Calyrex Ice with your Zacian Kyogre, you're kind of in trouble. Speaking of Calyrex Ice, that was one of the big breakout teams, I think, of Indy was this Calyrex Reshiram thing.
For sure. Lots of Calyrex here in top 8. So we have 3, I believe. Yes, 3 different Calyrex teams, 2 of which are very, very similar. So, again, I'm just going to go down the left side and then down the right side, and we can talk about, the inevitable winner and all that good stuff as it comes
we get
up.
Through
so,
it, yep.
Your 16th seed, we have Andrew Ding playing Zacian plus Kyogre, Ensign, Rillaboom, Grimmsnarl, and Landorus. It's funny, we just talked about how you don't typically see double Intimidate with Kyogre, and here it is. And it makes me laugh that, we're just criticizing the last team of having multiple weaknesses to Cali Ice, and this team ended up beating Cali Ice in the top 16.
Well, the big thing here is you have one less weakness.
And, you also have Grimmsnarl, which can do a non-zero amount.
Grimmsnarl is very annoying for Trick Room to deal with.
May that be Thunder Wave, may that be, setting Reflect and or Light Screen, so like you're not able to pick up KOs like you want.
If it carries foul play, that's a problem for Calyrex Ice.
It makes me laugh that like I have this visceral reaction playing against Grimmsnarl, and then Morgrim has been my MVP in RTT for like 2 seasons in a row now.
Yeah, that's because it's good.
Like, this thing is so absurd. It's like second stage, its first stage evolution is also just absurd in a format meant to be full of trash Pokemon.
Yeah. The big thing here about Andrew's team is it's more resemblance of like the Screen's Kyogre team rather than the Battle Rooms team here with this Tornadus. Battle Rooms team really wants to just click the Tailwind button and just go. We're going to blow you up, try to take out as many KOs as possible with our Dynamax, and then kind of maybe stall the mid to end game out depending on how things go. These Screen Ogre teams are very much more position heavy, pivot around,
For sure.
Use our screens to set up Kyogre for a victory, things like that. The big difference here is Andrew dropped the Zapdos for Landorus, which I'm not sure I agree with.
Yeah, that's a choice.
Like,
I don't know if that makes you better or worse against like opposing like Gastrodons.
So it's okay into Gastrodon. The problem is you're much worse into opposing Kyogre.
Mm-hmm.
The reason you play Landorus is to beat like the Alekis, the Zapdoses, the Thundurus, and things like that. Well, most of those Pokemon are on teams with like Calyrex Shadow, who just naturally outspeeds you, Kyogre, who just blows you up. Like you kind of are in this situation of I'm going to swap Zapdos out for this because I need to beat Zapdos, and you end up just losing points against the other things.
Like, sure, you gain percentage points against 1/6 of their team, but when you're losing percentage points against 4/6 of their team, is it really worth it?
No, not in my opinion. Next up is Austin's team. We talked to him last week. If you want to go catch that interview out, go check it out. We
have an entire episode devoted to this team, so
yeah. Plus, again, another interview with CK49. They're all just great. This is I didn't get to talk about it much during the interview because we just got all caught up doing other stuff. But this, like, when I saw the rental code for it, it clicked. It was like, oh, I know exactly what this team is. I can tell you all the spreads because I played this one for like Players Cup 3 when we were doing that.
Yeah, he mentioned it that, this team is just like the was it Series 10 team? Series 9 team? 8?
It was Series 8.
Yeah, the like single restricted Series 8 Sun team. And then, like, it just clicked with you. You ended up streaming a little bit with this team. And you're just like, yeah, I feel so comfortable with this.
Yeah, this team is fantastic.
And it's funny that you felt that way about a team because I also felt the exact same way playing Jeremy's team. So, like, just everything about the way this tournament played out was just like, man, there's so many things I just love that are going on here.
Yeah. The reason Austin's team just clicked is because I played so much with the Series 8 version. Like, I grinded the heck out of that team. I helped optimize that team for other people to play. And I did the same thing with Rinya Sun when I got on top of that. But these Groudon, Charizard, Venusaur teams with, like, good support, they're still good. We saw, I think it was, talk about it again. I think Paul Chua. No, not Paul. Someone had it.
I couldn't tell you off the top of my head.
Oh, it was Santino. That's who it was. Santino had the exact same 6. I don't know if it was all the same items and whatnot, but it was the exact same 6 Pokemon. And he took that one to a top 8 finish. And, like, there's some people who can pick up this type of team and it just clicks because you played so much, like, Groudon plus whatever in Series 8, 11, and whatnot. And then there's some people are just going to hate this team. This is a love it or hate it kind of team because you either do the thing and you get really lucky or you don't get to do the thing and you feel terrible.
Yep. No in between.
which Austin ends up being the winner of this top 8 match and moving on to top 4. Next up is the winner of Indy, Stefan Mott, aka Pengy. This is Green Kyogre's first win for like a big event.
Yes.
Was
this Swordfish's first win?
Essentially, yeah. Kind of, not really.
Yes, but no.
Yeah. Like, if you want to go count like the big online tours, which had like 500 people in them, technically not its first win, but I think this is its first regional win.
This is its first major, yes.
And this is literally just Green's Ogre. Like, we have seen this team since the start of Series 12. The Kyogre, Rillaboom, Incineroar, Zacian core is just so freaking strong and hard to deal with sometimes. And then,
I still hate it, thanks.
And then you get to add on Grimmsnarl and Zapdos to just cover your weaknesses. It's perfect. Like, this team cannot be iterated on anymore to get any better. It's a lot of just changing of sets and like fitting it to your playstyle and just getting practice in.
Yep, exactly. So that brings us to our 12th seed here with Leonard Kraft III playing Cali Ice, Reshiram, Ensign, Gastro, Amoonguss, and Mimikyu. I mean, I believe this is a carbon copy of the EUIC Cali Reshiram team. I believe Leonard literally just picked up that team and ran with it.
I can tell you really quick. Thanks, Victory Road, for having everything where I need to find it.
Mm-hmm.
It is a carbon copy. Like, it's the same 6. I'm not sure about items again because we don't see that stuff, but it definitely is the same 6.
Okay, that's again, like I said, what I thought, but again, not entirely 100% sure. But yeah, team's cool. I really like it. If we're talking about one Cali Reshiram team, we might as well talk about the next one here with Jeremy Rodriguez's your 15th seed and your second place winner, your second place finalist here in Indy with Calyrex, Reshiram, Ensign, Tapu Fini, P2, and Eliki. So as much as I like the EUIC team, I think Jeremy iterated on it very well and like took what was good about that team and fixed what wasn't. I think Fini is a very good partner for Calyrex in multiple ways. The first being that Misty Train is going to, one, prevent you from being burnt. It's a non-bow in the sense with Reshiram because you are going to lower your damage output from Max Wormwind. But at the same time, a majority of the games that you're bringing Reshiram, where your primary game plan is Reshiram, you're typically not bringing Fini in those matchups. I have felt. So like that negative synergy doesn't really come up too often from my games.
Yeah.
I think P2 is very good and basically replaces the Mimikyu on the EUIC team. I think it does a lot of things very well on this team. Trace is a hell of a drug that when you hit something good, it's absurd. The number of times I've hit like Intimidate and being able to intimidate down my opponent's Zacian on the lead or on the switch in. Or I've copied Prankster and then I get Prankster Recover or Prankster Eerie Impulse. It's so absurd. When it's good, it's insane. And it is way better than Prankster. I mean, it is way better than Download.
Or you get to do the slow start thing like you did in the laddering video.
To be fair, it didn't really matter.
Nah, the game was pretty much over by that point.
It was still funny that it happened, but like I wasn't sure if that's how that would work, yes. And then it did, and then I was sad.
Yep.
There is a really awkward interaction with Trace on this team where typically you're using Reshiram as a way to take away opposing Kyogre's weather with Max Flare because you are slower than a majority of Kyogres. You're able to tank the hit from them, and then max flare to take away their weather for a turn, which then forces them to have to max geyser you again to reset the weather, which then just puts you in this like feedback loop of, well, if this is what you're going to do, I'm just immediately going to take it away from you.
Yeah.
There are problems with that when you have P2 in the back, and it comes in and copies your opponent's drizzle, and you go,
womp womp. Sad pandas.
We are very sad right now, and I feel that.
Yep.
So, as good as Trace is, there's a few instances which is like, well, that's really awkward.
Just copy the other Pokemon's ability. You'll be fine.
Or like you switch in Feeny and P2 in the same turn to try to take away like your opponent's terrain, and then P2 copies Rillaboom's Grassy Surge, and you reset their terrain for them anyway.
Nice.
Like there's a bunch of very, very minor things that can come up, but when they do, it's just like, well, that's the complete opposite of why I really wanted to have happen. But this seems really good. I highly, highly, highly recommend you go play Jeremy's team if you like. If you like these trick room oriented teams that are able to also have like another mode to them. This is a very good team, and I highly recommend it.
Yep. Next up, we have Carson Confer's Calyrex Shadow Kyogre team. This is another just hyper offensive team, I feel like. Calyrex, Kyogre, Whimsicott, that just feels like click the Tailwind button, do the thing, Water Spout, Astral Barrage, whatever it is. You have Indeedee to play that game, where you can just like redirect hits away from your Dynamax target or your Kyogre or whatever you're doing. And then we just have the good support of Lando and Alecki just to kind of round out our weaknesses.
So this match was actually really interesting on camera because you got to see the Reshiram versus opposing Kyogre like matchup when it comes to Dynamaxing. If you're interested in learning like how that matchup plays, it's a very good match to go watch, so you learn a lot of the ins and outs of it. Mm-hmm. If you're interested in playing either of these like teams or like styles of teams, I would highly recommend you go watch that match just so you are able to understand what is going on and what is important.
Yeah. Next team is adaptation of the Screen Ogre variant without screens. We have swapped our Grimmsnarl for Whimsicott.
I feel like when you take away half of the team's name's identity, you lose a lot of what the team is trying to do.
Yeah.
I mean, I still think this team is very good. Obviously, Paul Ruiz is a very good player. And is able to just, dominate. And yeah, this seems sick. There's really nothing else to say other than, yep, this is Swordfish. This is what it does.
Yep, this is Swordfish. Last team from Indy. This is the one that's probably gotten the most attention as of late. Mainly due to the fact that Alex also top cut Secaucus with it.
A iteration of it, yes.
It's essentially it's pretty much just him iterating on the same team. But Calyrex, Ice, and Palkia are here to stay. This probably was the event where if it didn't do well here, it wasn't going to pop up anymore because it just went with so many events just not doing well. But the big thing here is the Gothitelle. That's what gets people's attention here.
And it's as bad as it sounds, the Gothitelle kind of cost him the tournament, too. Yeah. Like, in his match against Jeremy, it easily won him game one by hitting multiple hypnoses. Hypnoses? It put everything to sleep. And then the following two games, it didn't hit a single one. So, unfortunate. I honestly think had, in either of the second or third game, had he hit any of the hypnosis, I think it was over. Just by how impactful it was in game one. Jeremy kind of didn't have a great plan against it. Obviously, he had Feeny, and being able to Volt Switch out your Eliki into Feeny is good. But when you Volt Switch into an opposing Ensign that has eject button and then you're trapped again, things kind of fall apart from there.
Yeah.
I really do like Alex's team. It's probably one of the most unique, and it's saying something because his team from this weekend is also very wild.
Yeah.
So as the same weekend as Indy, we also had the Bilbao Regionals, and this is where I'm once again going to say sorry in advance. I'm sorry if we mispronounce your name, because it's probably going to happen more than once. So I am actually not sure how this event went. Looks like Jonas Wiegel ended up winning. Wiegel?
Let me see.
It's a Dutch name, so I'm really not sure.
Jonas Weigel.
Excuse me, that's German.
So
yeah, I'm going to say Germany? It's a Wiegel.
So the W is a V.
Yeah. Jonas Wiegel.
Yeah.
That's as close as I'm getting. I'm so sorry in advance. So let's see. Let's just start here on the left side, do it the same way we've done it. And we'll go from there. So first up, we have Juan or Adria. Oh no, this is awful. You can just use their
Twitter handle. That's fine.
I'm just not going to say names. I think that's just going to be easier because I'm going to butcher all of these.
This is at JM Audrey VGC. They were the number 1 seed going into top 8. Lunalodon, of all things. This is kind of reminds me a little bit of Wolfie's team that he played at.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Lunalodon. I think it's super sick, dude. When you get to do your thing, it's absurd.
Which we'll be talking about that a little bit later.
Yep. Not to spoil things too much, but yeah, I think Lunalodon is sick.
Next up, Soy Palo on Twitter. This is just another weird swordfish variant with Sun attached to the end of it.
So here's the thing. I almost guarantee this Whimsicott has Sunny Day. Like, it just has to, man. If it doesn't, I'm going to be disappointed. Like, there's no way in any matchup that doesn't have Groudon, you're just bringing Swordfish plus Whimsicott and Indeedee. There's just, like, no logical way to that. Like, if this Whimsicott doesn't have Sunny Day, I will do something stupid for Cloud on the internet.
Okay. Somebody go tag at Soypile on Twitter so we can find out.
I didn't say one stupid thing, but I'm sure there's one out there.
Next up, Antonio at I'm Roxon. This is another variation of like double weather. We saw it.
Yeah, this seems also.
I think I talked about it again a little bit on the deep dive about a week and a half ago or whatever it was. Double weather's really, really cool.
Agreed.
The one downside I see is trying to blend modes together to have effective game plans against other like weather teams. So, like, you have your Zacian Incineroar, Venusaur, Torkoal, like, thing, and then you have your Zacian Kyogre, Incineroar, Tornadus thing. But, like, if Venu's good in a matchup and you can't bring Torkoal, you get a little awkward.
Yeah,
so it's like, this is a very A mode, B mode, flip a switch back and forth. There's not a whole lot of experimenting otherwise. If your A mode's not good, your B mode's not good, you're kind of just stuck.
Well, obviously, one mode was always good because they ended up top 8ing, so that's how that works, right? So that brings us to our 4th seed here, at Opal Co. VGC. This is Groudon plus Zacian with Charizard, Whimsicott, Snorlax, and a Thundurus as well. This seems super cool as well.
I like the adaptation of Whimsicott on this squad, specifically just this one probably also has access to Sunny Day because Kyogre switching in kind of just wreaks havoc with this team. And so having...
I wonder if this also has Tailwind and Trick Room.
I don't know about Trick Room. I don't think your Snorlax is like set up to do anything in Trick Room like very well.
It's probably just for like opposing Charizards being thick fat or something like that.
You could be thick fat and just sit in front of Charizard, sit in front of Kyogre or whatever, and just say, "Hey, you."
I know. Zordor was playing with AV Snorlax, and it was actually really sick. It's just like a decent counter to like all the Charizards that were running around at the time, and like it obviously lends up well under Trick Room against like Cali Ice as well. Just being able to take half damage from them and then do a decent chunk back is always good.
Next up, we have this French team that has been popping up everywhere here lately.
We'll talk about it again. Because this team had a very, very good weekend this weekend.
It had a very, very good weekend, like, 2 or 3 weekends ago. Like,
yeah,
this
team is
variation
sick.
of this team is popping up everywhere in Europe, but only in Europe. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and it's weird, man. It's just like how different of a metagame they have compared to us, where stuff like Kartana and Shedinja are like well positioned. And that's, I don't want to sound like I'm, dogging this team, because I think this team is actually really sick. And I know that Professor Ragna ended up playing Kartana this weekend as well, and I believe finished 17th with it. It was like Swordfish plus Kartana. So like, I think this team is just like honestly really well positioned, and it's crazy to think that like I hadn't seen it until like this weekend. Like I hadn't really looked at the other tournaments to see it until now.
I know I've looked at it a ton, mainly because as the person who's gathering data all the time, like I see these patterns and I see this thing.
Yeah, you gather the data and then you send it to me and be like, hey, look at this.
So we'll talk about Thomas Gravul again. Placed second at Liverpool Regional with that team. Has a report on that.
Interesting.
We'll talk about him again because he pops up again at, is it Lil?
Lil.
It's Lil. We'll talk about him in a minute. But that's that team. I believe him and like 3 other players got together to build this team. All of them are out of France, and I think that's just become their team. Like most like people from France are just playing this team. They've adapted it and they've just added to it. I don't see any repeating names that I recognize in any of these events, so I don't know who at Red Silver FR is. But they did really well at this team. This is like I said, second event for it to place number 2, like to do well in. It didn't pop up a lot at the EUIC, but I think that's because it just had an influx of NA players who probably can deal with this team very well.
I'm interested in seeing if I can find a rental code for this and playing it, because I think this team is super cool and super unique, and I would love to actually get to play it and try it. So that brings us to the winning team from Bilbao. We have pretty much just hyper offense. We have Cali Shadow plus Kyogre, Whimsicott, Rillaboom, and then your Genie duo, of course, being Landorus and Thundurus.
We used to see a lot of Lando Thundy together, but not so much anymore. I don't know why we don't see it as much, but
it's crazy to me that like a team like this can exist in this kind of format, where like in the States we had 3 Cali Ice in top 8. And over there, they don't have a single one, and this team has 4 weaknesses to it. It's so crazy, just like the dynamic difference in formats.
I like this a lot. I like the pairing of Calyrex, Shadow, Kyogre. It does the hyper offensive thing really well. It's It's kind of unfortunate, though, that your restricteds are all on that one axis for damage, though. So, like, a well-timed light screen or snarl can really ruin your entire game plan if that's how you're winning the game. Still has the Calyrex, Shadow, Thundy, Whimsicott, like, core there, which is really, really good. You could honestly probably play Ensign in this Lando slot, and the team still probably functions pretty close to the same.
You could also play Ensign in this Whimsicott slot, and then cut the Calyrex for Zacian, and then you have your 6 seed team. Essentially. Like, I mean, if you look at it, you have your change of restricted, you've changed Thundurus into Ensign, and you've changed Whimsicott into Tornadus. Like, I mean... Yeah, the core of, like, Kyogre, Rillaboom, Intimidator is good. So why not add second Intimidator and then add Swordfish? Like, yeah, this seems sick. It does everything you need it to do.
Overall, this team just feels... I thought we kind of touched on this one before. Was this not a team that I saw before?
I think the Tornadus is the differing part compared to what we talked about in Indy. I don't think we had a Tornadus at all in Indy Top Cut.
There was one. It was Battle Rooms.
Was it? Okay. Okay. Yes.
This is
you
a
are
carbon
correct.
copy of Battle Rooms team. Like, it's...
I thought he had...
This is the same 6. I'm pretty sure we
correct.
just talked about this 6. And we...
Cool. So we don't need to touch on it anymore.
And then last team here is Eduardo Cunha. We know who this person is. Menino Jardim on Twitter, playing Calyrex, Shadow, and Zacian with the Fire, Water, Grass core and Thundurus to round it out. This is super duper common. Anything...
Nothing new, nothing really exciting.
Nothing crazy.
It does the thing, and it does it well.
This brings us into this weekend's events, where we can kind of just rapid fire these because people saw this stuff already.
And we'll talk about it more this next week as well.
When we get
I'm sure.
New Jersey interview done.
So where do we want to start? You want to start with Secaucus?
Because it's technically the one that finished first.
Sure.
It's the oldest.
Is it because they're just like really ahead of us in time? Perth is Australia, right? Okay, perfect. So see, they were like a day ahead of us. So, okay, I need to address this. What is with Australians and Colossal? I feel like I need to yell at Matt, and I know this has nothing to do with him, but I feel like I need to yell at him to stop this.
Keep going. I want to see Colossal win again. Come on. The reason I love it is because the Colossal teams are Yveltal teams, and it's both things that I like.
You're a monster. You're as bad as Matt.
But before we get into the Colossal team here, we have Austin's team again, the Groudon, Calyrex, Shadow, Double Sun Series 8 adaptation. It's super duper, like, it's starting to like get its feet in, and it's starting to become a popular team. I think this might be the Sun team we see from now on.
Yeah, it's almost like Austin's a really good player, and people need to just follow what he's playing.
That's what I'm saying.
So then that's Alex Donaldson and your first seed. Down here in your 8th seed, you have Matthew Anderson playing Cali Shadow plus Kyogre with Kartana, Indeedee, Tornadus, and Eliki. Again, I feel like this is kind of just like I don't want to say it's standard, but I understand every Pokemon's role on this team.
Yeah, at this point, I wouldn't call anything standard anymore. Going into this weekend, the format was just wide open.
Yeah, people, again, you can play what you like and you can play what you know, and those are, if they overlap, cool.
And that's, like, when we talk about the Colossal team here, that's kind of where we're going to be at, because, like, no, we're going to.
Can we just not talk about
because
Colossal?
it finished second.
I'm not
You don't
playing
have
it.
to.
I don't care. I'm not.
No one said you had to.
Matt's gonna yell at me, and I'm fine
No one
with
said
that.
you had to play it. It didn't win. It finished second.
Matt's gonna yell at me for dunking on it more, and I'm just gonna be like, look, man, just because it plays as well one time doesn't mean the team's good. It means the player's good. When it puts up 2 results, that's when the team's good.
So this is like what we see like from Colossal teams a lot anyway, is this Rillaboom plus Urshifu, Colossal, Incineroar, like Yveltal, and then whatever you wanted in the last one. This is another one of those Series 8 and 11 teams that kind of got adapted to Series 12, and we just slapped Zacian on there because we can.
Because it's the best Pokemon that's ever been created for competitive play?
It's the best ever created for competitive play.
You're right. Sorry. Incin's the best Pokemon ever created for competitive play. Right. Zacian's the best restricted. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I revoke everything I've said. Just take my VGC license. Don't worry.
It's not like you're going to use it anyway.
Exactly.
So moving on, Swordfish without the Zapdos. Instead, we have this Tornadus, and then screens and all that fun stuff.
Yeah, bulky Kyogre behind screens that goes fast.
Pretty standard.
Click water spout, go burr.
Hey, you want to know what this? We have the same team coming up, but Zapdos instead of Tornadus.
So you just click click screens, click water spout, go burr. Yeah. Kyogre's so dumb. I love it.
Zacian Palkia finally won an event. In the hands of Alistair Sandover. So what's cool about these Palkia Zacian teams is they always were just adaptations of like Swordfish teams with some different tools on the back end, because Palkia gets different coverage than Kyogre does.
Yeah, you get like ground coverage as opposed to like thunder. You get earth power versus thunder, and you get flamethrower.
Palkia gets so many weird coverage moves
for some reason.
Because dragons, am I right?
You're right. Sorry, I misspoke. Continue.
So what's cool about these is you get to play like both fast and slow modes with Trick Room and Thundurus, and you have the Fire, Water, Grass core of Palkia, Incineroar, Rillaboom tacked on with Zacian. It's the same team with a different restricted because you want different coverage, and then your support gets to be better or different in this case.
If you look at these two teams, you have Zacian, Water Restricted, Incin, Rillaboom, Speed Control, Dynamax Threat. Like, these two teams are very similar, playing playing half of the team be completely different, but as a result, they play completely differently. It's really, really interesting that two teams that are built in the same vein are so completely different.
Like, right? Like, you can play, like, there's so many variations, but they're all the same. Does that make sense? Like, you can play, you're playing the same parts, like, the same roles, but you're just changing the Lego pieces in and out, back and forth.
For sure.
Moving on, the next team is Zacian Yveltal, but no Colossal this time.
Good. I like this team way better.
We are playing Double Grass, Aleki. So we have Amoonguss, Whimsicott as just our suite of support. And then Regieleki Yveltal is a just destructive force in this format for some reason.
I hate it. Thanks for asking. I don't hate it more than Grimmsnarl. So, like, it's doing something right. Sure.
And then obviously we have Incineroar to kind of round out the squad there. I feel like you almost always have to have an Intimidator on your Yveltal teams because you just have such a hard time against Zacian.
Let me paraphrase that sentence a little more. Every team needs Incineroar.
And that's it.
Tell me I'm wrong,
Matthew
Carl.
Anderson does not have Incineroar.
Well, look where he finished.
Top 8.
That's very fair. That's better than anything I've ever done.
That's really good still. Like, what are you talking about? And then the last team here in the hands of... I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce that name. I don't think that's right for sure.
I'm going with it, and I'm sorry in advance. I know I already said it.
It's the same team we just talked about in the hands of Alistair. It's that Palkia Zacian, that Firewater Grass Core, Steel Fairy type. Got your Trick Room Setter and Porygon 2. Got your Thundurus. I like this a lot. If I was playing in events, I would probably start working on this and like looking at this because I think this is still really good. And I think your just matchups just are better. You can do the in and out, the fast and the slow. You can play against Trick Room teams. Palkia is still really good, whether it's in Trick Room or out of Trick Room. There's a lot of flexibility on this team. Whereas some of these other teams with like Palkia are very... I've seen them just like they're just either very all in on the slow mode, very all in on not doing slow mode, and you're kind of... You don't have that fluidity that you want in a good best of 3 team.
I wonder if these two players built together because they ended up playing in semis. And like this is an exact Mon mirror match. I wonder if it's an exact mirror match, like to
That'd
the
be so
T.
cool if it was because we get to talk about that like the exact mirror match.
Yeah, which is why I brought it up. Now because I think it's so cool.
Seeing mirror matches on camera is so cool because they're so nuanced.
There's so much that goes into them that just people don't like. If you aren't ingrained in the like VGC community, you don't realize how much goes on in those matchups.
All right.
Yeah, this top 8 is wild and I love it. And now we get to talk about Lil, which is even more wild.
You should recognize a lot of these names, or at least part of them. Because we talked about a good chunk of them or mentioned them back in the Bilbao top 8. Remember how I couldn't recognize Red Silver FR, but I thought I'd seen it before? This is why.
Yeah, it's because they top 8 again. Back-to-back events, no big deal.
Thomas gets his win finally. After finishing second at Liverpool, gets his win here at Lille, and there's 3 copies of that swordfish with Kartana.
The French Shedinja team. Do we want to address it now, or do you think what we talked about earlier is enough?
I think everybody gets the idea.
Like, can we just skip half the teams here?
Like, everybody understands what's going on here.
What's great is it ended up winning this event. So, like, I honestly think this team is super cool, and I'm excited to go hunting for a rental.
You should check your DMs then. So we also get to talk about some other cool stuff here. A lot of Zacian Calyrex Shadow at this event, I feel like. A lot more than what we're used to seeing anyway. The first one here has the Sun mode with his Whimsicott's Charizard, Indeedee to support our Calyrex Shadow, and then Thundurus also to just Dynamax and support our Calyrex Shadow. I like this version because you have Calyrex Shadow, Thundurus, and Charizard, which are all answered by different things on teams and can be hard to deal with if they're brought in certain pairings. Which, when we get to Secaucus, we'll talk about Emilio's team, which is kind of doing the same kind of thing with that Thundurus Calyrex Shadow, and it's flexible, different Dynamax targets and whatnot, which is really, really cool. The other Calyrex Shadow team they played across from each other like right off the bat here, unfortunately. So Calyrex Shadow's run was doomed from the start, I guess. This one's got a lot more support tools compared to the other one, which kind of understands why the more offensive one moved on. This one feels like it still does the pivot and kind of flexible, but you're not flexible with your damage options. you're either like Dynamaxing your Thundurus, Dynamaxing your Calyrex Shadow, or sometimes Dynamaxing like Gastrodon. But it still has that Whimsicott. It has Incineroar. Like, I could see why this team did well in this event in particular to get here. I just don't know if it was going to be ever beating whoever it's at Yale VGC. I don't think they were ever going to be able to beat this team.
Yeah, it does not seem very good, at least on paper.
It just doesn't seem like it has enough damage. Which is weird to say in a format that's all bulk now. Next up, we have Thomas. We talked about their team. It's that Zacian, Kyogre, Shedinja thing.
On a positive note, I have next week's laddering team built.
Next up, we have Screens Kyogre again. You can't escape this team. It's just everywhere.
It's like this team's really good
I know,
or something.
Right? In the hands of Sam. Again, I'm not surprised. I think, if I remember correctly, that the Thundurus, Zacian, Kyogre team just does really well against the screens because they just can't ever answer the Thundurus very well. They also probably have a problem with Shedinja. If the Shedinja team plays correctly, I don't see like Screens Ogre ever beating Shedinja properly.
It seems very difficult.
Where are we at now?
That should bring us to the right side of the bracket, right? So, second seed, we have Richard Fairbrother playing Groudon Zacian with Ensign, Gastro, Indeedee, and Thundy. This is just like a iteration on the Rinya Sun team, but like we dropped Charizard.
Yeah.
So like, is it really an iteration on Rinya Sun if you're not playing like the identifying part of Rinya Sun?
I'm not sure if I like dropping Charizard.
Yeah,
obviously
I don't know.
Did well, but I just really think having Charizard with your Groudon is important. One of the things I found in my testing for Indy is, unless you've got a good payoff for Groudon by itself doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
It's just like bigger ground type Torkoal. More Groudon here. Lunaludon. This is almost Wolfie's team that he played. Wolfie's playing Alecki Gastrodon, where this one was playing Venusaur Porygon 2, which is kind of cool.
Okay. I honestly really like P2 on this team. I think it just adds like that little bit of extra like piece of technology to help you have your form of speed control in whichever way you need it to be. You obviously have Lunala and P2 to do your Trick Room thing, but you also have your fast mode with Groudon, Charizard, Venusaur. So like it really does just play well, I think, on this team. I'm a fan of what we have going on here.
The fun thing about P2 is it helps you Lunala so much against like Calyrex Shadow, other ghost types. Having that potential normal type to pivot into the back to eat whatever's coming into your Lunala, be it a ghost move or heck even just like a max darkness, because your P2's bulky enough it's going to likely survive that hit. So it just kind of works out that combo is really, really good. And then you just have this monster Sun Core to deal with as well. And then we can kind of skip these last two. This Shedinja team is everywhere, and
yeah, it's the French Shedinja team. Be on the lookout for next week for that one.
I love it that the Lunaludon team beat it the first time but couldn't beat it the second time.
Yep, team looks sweet.
Which
I'm a fan.
Brings us finally
to Secaucus.
We have our top 8 for Secaucus.
This top 8 is insane. This top 8 is so insane.
This is probably the most stacked top 8 that we have ever had.
I was going to say easily that I've ever seen. And like you said, probably ever.
I'm trying to find. There's a tweet I saw that specifically talked about the accomplishments of everyone in the top 8.
Oh, where did I see that? Did someone post that on Discord?
I don't remember, but I wanted to look over it because
I'm scrolling.
It was a very long list of accomplishments. Multiple people aiming for like their first regional or their 7th regional.
Here we go. This is to quote at Azrael_the_God. This is the craziest cut I've ever seen. 18 regional titles, 3 World's Finalist appearances, World Champion, 10 plus national top 8s, 2 Players Cup champions, and a Players Cup Invitational champion.
Just so many accolades.
Like, holy cow, dude! He's like, if we're counting seniors, it gets even crazier. This is just Masters achievements. Holy cow, it's absurd.
Our number 1 seed, Emilio Forbes, ended up winning the whole event. Calyrex, Shadow, and Zacian got a W this weekend.
Went undefeated through the event. Like, that cannot be understated either. Like, in this top 8 also went undefeated. Just absurd weekend.
Had to play through Centino Tarquino, had to play through Wolfglick, and then had to meet it was Alex, right? He met up with Alex in the
believe
finals.
That sounds correct. Again, I haven't got to watch top 8 yet, but I believe Alex plays second.
I can tell you right now.
Please do. Please tell me I'm correct so I don't sound dumb.
Yep.
Sweet. I'm so good at this game.
So gone are the Calyrex Ice and Reshiram teams from Indy, and here to stay is Calyrex Ice Palkia. There are 3 of those pairings in the top 8.
It's so wild, man.
We'll get to the mirror match at the last because there's so much to talk about.
We'll talk to it. Okay.
But Emilio's team feels like the super standard Calyrex Shadow Zacian teams we are used to seeing. Thunderous is here. You've got your Firewater Grass Core for good pivoting and defensive options. This is a Gastrodon.
I honestly feel like you could trade out this Cali Shadow for a Groudon, and this team just makes sense too. Like, just everything about this team just feels very standard. It feels like.
I was about to say the other way.
Like, I mean,
you could swap this
good.
Gastrodon out for Blastoise, and those are the teams that we're used to seeing for Calyrex Shadow.
Yeah, sure. Whatever. It's all the same.
The big thing is, like, you just get so many advantage points against Kyogre with Gastrodon on your team. Which Kyle Livinghouse played pretty much the exact same 6. I don't know if it's the exact same team, but definitely the same 6. We'll talk about Kyle and talk about Justin here in a minute. But they both ended up with Game 1 losses in Top Cut due to team sheet errors. Yeah, Oof. It happens. Like, unfortunately, but getting a game loss is better than just being DQ'd entirely. So,
I have said it once and I'll say it again. I've had it happen in Magic. It never feels good. It can and will cost you a tournament, and when it does, you will remember it forever. It sucks. It happens. Be better next time. Yep. That's all you can do.
I want to see...
live with it forever and know to not do it next time.
Okay. So, Santino played the Groudon Calyrex Shadow Double Sun thing.
Yeah, this is Austin's
the Series
team, right?
8 Austin Acosta's team, yep.
This feels like a very Santi team.
Right?
Like, in all actuality, it feels very much like something he would play.
Piloted this team fantastically. The games I got to watch with it were awesome. A lot of good just like pivots. But like I said, this team is great when you have all the luck, but terrible when you don't. And I feel like a lot of it, there was a game where if he hits the sleep powder, he wins that game 100% of the time. And he didn't hit the sleep powder. The Thunderous got to take out everything.
Yeah.
And Emilio kind of just rolled over.
You know.
Andrew Ding played the same team he played in Indy.
Yep. Back-to-back top 8s. Pretty impressive, all things considered. Team's also very good here, as it was the week before. 2 weeks before? 2 weeks.
So, I don't know.
Yes. Team's sick. Team's sick.
Wolfglick played Lunalodon with Reggie Elke and Gastrodon kind of... This is probably the closest one to Rinya Sun we've seen since we lost Rinya Sun to the Void at Indy.
It's crazy to think that the closest we had to Rinya Sun is cutting the best restricted and playing Lunala.
Right? we cut the restricted
but
play. We cut Zacian playing Lunala, and then Reggie Elke's. Reggie Elke's just kind of slapped on here for speed control. Again,
Lunala is sick.
Emilio playing with fire there. I think if Wolfie gets the max lightning roll on Emilio's Zacian in game 1, that game is completely different game probably.
You're speaking Spanish to me right now.
So Emilio's Zacian lived on 8.
I'll get caught up. Nice. Very nice.
It went from like 50% HP to 8. Like the number 8.
Good.
I think that was pretty much a roll, and Wolf just rolled really low. I'm not sure. I'm not sure the calcs on that. I know Alecki, physical Alecki max lightning even after an intimidate can do like 75%. So it depends on what move Wolfie was using, I guess. Because he was a physical Alecki with I think acrobatics and assurance. I'm not quite sure.
Okay. Pretty standard physical Alecki stuff.
Next up, Kyle Livinghouse's team, Animus VGC. Kind of a common name, at least on the online sphere of VGC.
Have we talked about him today, or am I just
we haven't talked
things?
about him yet today.
Okay, I am just imagining things. Cool.
But very good player still. Playing the same team as Emilio Forbes. From what I have gathered on the internet, thanks Spacu Titan, the Gastrodon had Recover instead of Yawn. Or one of the two. That was the move that was a problem, and that cost him a game loss. And then he just never had a chance against Paul Chua, who kind of just rolled him over.
Yeah,
unfortunately.
Yeah. But Paul is also a very good player, so again, not really surprised to hear that good player given it a game advantage is going to be able to capitalize on it.
So here's where we get into the Calyrex Ice Palkia stuff.
I'm excited.
This one is very reminiscent of the early Calyrex Ice Palkia teams. The Trick Room, the double Trick Room setters, the Amoonguss for redirection, Reggie Elke for speed control, Tapu Fini to keep your Calyrex healthy and safe, Incineroar's your intimidate and your fake out and your general disruption. Super standard version of this team. It's super easy to play but hard to play masterfully. So you see it once or twice in a top cut, but then the rest of them are usually X and 4, X and 5, because people just pick it up thinking it's easy to play because you click Trick Room and do the thing. No, there's a whole lot of nuance to this team that you have to work with and play with a lot to get comfortable on. Which then brings us to our mirror match, and probably the best, one of the best matches we've seen in a very long time. Justin Burns and Alex Underhill playing Calyrex Ice, Palkia, Incineroar, Rillaboom, Alchemy, Gothitelle.
It's so crazy, man. I love it. There's nothing about this I'm just not in love with.
I can confirm that these are pretty much the exact same team, EVs and all. There were so many speed ties that if one went one way or the other, that person was going to win. It was the wildest game I've ever seen. I believe Alex got 2 speed tie wins in a row to take out Justin's Palkia in Game 3. And I think that pretty much sealed the deal for the most part. Like, Alex was kind of advantaged getting the first one. And then once he won the second speed tie, he was way in the advantage corner. And I don't think there's anything Justin could really do to catch back up after that. He tried, and he did really well at doing it, but I don't think he was ever going to get ahead again and beat Alex. Also, I approve of Justin's alchemy choice through Rainbow Cream is amazing. I
really like Alex's, so you're incorrect.
Nah. Let's be honest here. There is one correct choice. There is a purple one, and it is
correct.
It is awesome.
I fully agree.
You get like the purple one.
It's really disappointing. It's really disappointing that Alchemy Shiny is just not.
Yeah,
great.
right? Like the shiny, I don't think anything matters for the shiny, right?
Nope.
It's all just black and white.
And it's really disappointing. Yep. They could have done so much with it, but like also, designing 20 or 30 different alchemies, I understand would be
like the
awful.
only way you can make shiny alchemy like any different is via the sweet. Which there's some really cool like sweet combinations. Like there's yellow and there's green. The green's really cool with the shiny. The orange is really cool with the shiny. The purple's kinda in that.
Like imagine if they took like the rainbow but inverted all the colors on it.
Imagine if the rainbow was the shiny.
Yeah, that's
like,
also just acceptable. I don't really care. Just give it a 6 shiny.
Like, just give it a better shiny than black and white. It's kind of boring.
Yeah.
Anywho, Alchemy almost won an event.
So cool.
It was so close.
Yep. So close to being insane.
It's gonna be such a cool story if Alex like almost won Indy, like top cut Indy, and did really well there, and then just run it right back and just won in Secaucus. It would have been such a cool story.
Agreed.
Well,
So I think that brings us to Team of the Week.
That does bring us to Team of the Week. Team of the Week. So laddering was you playing the Reshiram Calyrex Ice team.
Yes.
We didn't want to really talk about that team. It's been talked to death. If you want to go find like a team report or anything on it, again, just go find it on YouTube. That's not what we're here to do. We like to highlight our community teams we got. And this team of the week comes from Karibo. This is his take on Lunaludon, playing Umbreon, Venusaur, Incineroar, Thundurus, and then Groudon Lunala.
I'm excited for this video to come out. I think this seems really cool. There's a lot that I feel we really got to show off with this team this week. The team is very cohesive, and not to like spoil it too much, Venusaur is blind as a bat. Like it is absurd how blind this Venusaur is, and Josh, you and I need to talk. Please get your Venusaur either some glasses or LASIK or something, because by God, this thing cost me so much, and it caused me so much stress and anxiety for no reason.
Jeez. We are angry, huh?
It's getting towards like Grimstar levels of hate.
Like, that's the whole reason why I didn't bring Venusaur to Indy, is I didn't want to play the lottery every match. And like,
but like, it's not all Venusaurs. It's just this one I've had a problem with.
Like, so. I know my luck, and that's why I didn't want to play it. That's why I didn't want to bring it, because I know how my luck goes, and I would be doing that exact same thing all the way through this game, all the way through with that team.
So in the RTT server, Jay had a running bet of how many Precipice Blades he would miss. He missed one, over the course of the weekend, but it missed both targets. His Venusaur, on the other hand, missed more leaf storms.
That's another reason why I didn't want to play Venusaur. So, goodness, let me get on this tangent here for just half a second. So,
Do your
Groudon Venusaur, as we established way back in Series 8, we talked about it a little bit earlier at the show with Austin's team. It is such an RNG dependent team. Like, you have to just be the luckiest of the luckers to get Precipice Blades to hit, Rock Slide to hit, Leaf Storm to hit, Sleep Powder to hit. There's just so much has to go right with Groudon Venusaur as your Sun combo to win games. And like you said, when it hits, it's fantastic. Your team's unstoppable. But there's a reason nobody plays this anymore. There's a reason Wolfie's Lunaludon has Charizard and not Venusaur. Like, you can play Charizard and be fine. That's the cool part about this team, is you can play Charizard and be fine. You can play Regieleki instead of Thundurus and be fine. You can play whatever Dark type in that Umbreon slot and be fine. Like, you don't even have to play Umbreon. You can play P2, you can play whatever bulky Slowmon you want to play in that slot to just be a body. But, like, Groudon and Venusaur have to do so much heavy lifting when they're together that one miss can usually dispel the end for your entire run. Okay, tangent's done. I got that off my chest. Venusaur overall is good in the format. It's good to have it here. It's just I cannot play with it. I just miss too many everything, and I just hate it.
I get it.
Okay.
But yeah, team was definitely really fun. Excited for that video to come out on Wednesday. Go check it out when it does.
Okay. You ready to get out of here?
I'm ready to go to bed about 3 hours ago.
Yeah, I understand that. I still don't get to go to bed.
Yeah, well, sorry.
Get us out of here.
You can, all right, man. As always, everyone, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. If you're listening on Spotify and or Apple Podcasts, go ahead and leave us that 5-star review. If you're listening over on Apple, make sure you drop down and, leave us a little comment about, hey, your show's really great. We love it. Thank you so much for everything you do.
I think
all that good stuff.
And for that, every week since you found out it's a thing, and I don't think you've gotten a single one.
Look, man, I'm not going to not try. I also haven't checked in a couple weeks.
So there might be some there.
There could be 300 of them there, and I just don't know.
That's what it is.
I'll check tomorrow when I'm at work, because I don't have anything better to do.
Comment down below that Carter's being lazy and he's slacking off.
You can't
100%
prove that.
can.
You're not my boss.
Say, I can just take you off this thing.
Please don't. I really like my time here.
I'll just delete you. You'll just be a disembodied voice.
That's fair. Have a good night. While you're on the internet, because obviously that's why you're listening to this, you can go over to our Twitter page and follow us there at LR Lessons, myself at Mr. Missouri 25, call us at Musical VGC, and you can also go and follow us on Twitch at Mr. Missouri 25 and Carlos at Musical. I know we've tried to do a little more YouTube streaming, so make sure you have the bell ring so you get notifications when we do go live over there as well. My one YouTube stream I had, it crashed and burned, and it made me really sad because I was really excited to ladder, and my game hates me. And by game, I mean clearly my internet
just hates you.
God, Spectrum sucks. Let's see. Go and join the community Discord. That's always done in the show notes as well. Our community is great. I love each and every one of them, and honestly, I'm really excited to get to talk to some people this next week about their experience at the tournament and everything, and getting to meet people in real life and all that good stuff. let's see. You can also go and check out our website at lrlessons.com. While you're there, you can go check out the merch page and, pick up some stuff. Get yourself some t-shirts or some stickers and all that good stuff. I'm all decked out
today.
I'd show you my cup, but I keep it in the car. And by that, I mean I forgot to bring it in today because it's my coffee cup. So I'm going to have to go do that before I go to bed so I have coffee in the morning. Well,
with how late we're going today, you're definitely going to want that.
Yeah, that's no joke. I think it's about time so you can get this edited and I can go to bed.
Did you hit everything? I think you hit everything.
Close enough. If not, the longtime listeners will know what I missed and tell me I'm bad.
They will.
So, all right, everyone. Have a good week, and we'll see you next week. Have a good one. Peace.